Hi, everybody. Keith Schweigert here, sitting in for Eric Stark in the low post. Alongside me is Mike Gross. And Mike, we're going to talk a little bit of PIAA basketball. The playoffs get started this weekend in both boys and girls. But before we get into that, let's take a look back at how the District 3 playoffs turned out for the Lancaster-Lebanon League teams. And I guess you alluded to this in print last week. When you look at it, kind of disappointing for, would that be a fair assessment of things, you think, for how we did?
I think it would. I think this was a pretty good year for the Lancaster-Lebanon League, particularly in boys basketball, I think. And we had a lot of senior-dominated teams. Certainly Donegal and McCaskey were that. And so maybe this sort of felt like the best shot that we've had in a while to win some big school district titles. And both Donegal and McCaskey, who had great regular seasons, lost what I think anybody would agree were winnable games in the semifinals of the district. And you know, if they'd have won those games, they could have won the final too. I mean, although the Quad A district final was a terrific game, York and Harrisburg, and Harrisburg played great and certainly deserved to win that game, and it would have been a tough out for McCaskey too had they not lost to York in the semis. But again, it felt a little bit like a really good opportunity missed.
Absolutely, and I mean, you and I were at both of those semifinal games, and I think the thing that struck me and what I hope both teams are doing this week at practice is practicing free throws, because you know, in both games, even like a 75% performance from the free throw line would have been enough. I mean, they were both close games. McCaskey lost by 5. I think Donegal lost by 3, and both of them were just abysmal from the free throw line. Yeah,
they were bad from the free throw line, and Donegal was abysmal from the three-point arc. And Donegal is really a skill execution-oriented team, and they were 1 for 16 from the three-point arc, and I think 7 for 13 from the line. I mean, they've just obviously they got to be better than that to beat anybody good. And Berks Catholic, which is the team they lost to, and ended up winning the Class AAA district title, is a really good team. But they did a great job defensively. They didn't kick the ball around. They did everything well except put it in the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Donegal and McCaskey are 2 of the 4 boys teams that we have in the PIAA fields. Lancaster Catholic, they got knocked out by Donegal in the quarterfinals of districts, came back, finished 7th, won their 7th place game. And Lebanon Catholic, who would have thought they would be the only district champion out of that crop of boys teams? They won the single A title. Let's look ahead to the PIAA, to the playoff field. We got McCaskey in Quad A, Donegal and Lancaster Catholic in AAA, and Lebanon Catholic in Single A. How do you think the bracket sets up for those teams?
McCaskey plays Coatesville in the first round of Quad A, which is a team they've played has a lot of history with. Two powers from the eastern half of Pennsylvania, and the only 2 teams that are playing each other in the first round that are both ranked in the top 10 in the state in Quad A, at least according to the Patriot News rankings. So that should be a real good game. Coatesville lost a lot of games early. Their football team went to the state finals, and it took them a couple weeks to get football out of the system. But they did lose in January to Wilson, which is a team that McCaskey beat for 3rd place in the district. So it seems like a winnable game there. Donegal, Wilkes-Barre GAR, which is a team with a pretty good tradition. They have 9 losses. That's a winnable game. The second round would be Allentown Central Catholic, which is a real power, one of the top teams in that class in the state. Lancaster Catholic, for finishing 7th in our district, really made out apparently like bandits. Most of the good teams in AAA in the East are in the eastern half of the state. They got put in that western, it's not really western anymore, but sort of western bracket, and against a team that I think is very beatable from District 6 in Johnstown. So those teams did okay. Sankofa Freedom Academy, that's who Lebanon Catholic plays in the first round state. A school that none of us have ever heard of before. That's kind of the nature of Philadelphia, where these charter schools just all of a sudden pop up and whoa, they're in the state basketball tournament.
Yeah, it took me some heavy-duty Googling just to find the nickname of Sankofa Freedom. It's the Warriors, for the record.
Go. Thank you.
And yeah, there are a lot of teams, they just seem to crop up from nowhere. I know looking at the brackets yesterday, there's a team called High School of the Future, I believe.
Yes,
and I'm like,
out,
okay. So yeah, we don't know a whole lot about them, and especially at Single A, it's hard to really predict who's going to be good and who's not, based on records. You don't know a whole lot about these teams statewide, but you never know. Maybe Lebanon Catholic can hang around for a little bit.
They may be able to. This team, Math, Civics, and Sciences from Philadelphia, which we've been hearing about all year, they're 23-2. They lost in the district. I guess it was actually like a public league Class A championship game that ended up being the district seed. They lost to the school called VAUX, V-A-U-X. VAUX, I don't know how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Whatever. So they're kind of looming in the second round for Lebanon Catholic, and that's going to be formidable. I think that loss to Vo or whatever they are was kind of an upset. So obviously we're feeling our way a little bit here. A lot of times what happens here is there's an upset here, and it ends up opening a path for somebody down here, and it really is March Madness, and it can be you can't get too carried away with these brackets. Just kind of let it play out.
Absolutely.